following are excerpts from the Universal House of Justice and God Passes By. This is the story of the passing of Abdu'l-Bahá. We offer thanks to Baha'u'llah for having given the world not only in his teachings a standard of purity, devotion, and integrity to which souls may forever aspire, but also in the figure of the Master, a flawless example of how life can be lived to that standard. Neither peril nor obstacle would prevent him from discharging his mission, whether by attending to the needs of the hour or preparing for the future. Neither hostility nor events of the world would divert him from his course. Serene, confident, and resolute, he was unperturbed by setbacks, welcoming hardship and adversity in the path of God. The passage of time has not diminished the awe with which we regard the role and character of one who, not only in the dispensation of Baha'u'llah, but in the entire field of religious history, fulfills a unique function. And as Shoghi Effendi has further affirmed of him, he is and should for all time be regarded, first and foremost, as the center and pivot of Baha'u'llah's peerless and all-enfolding covenant, his most exalted handiwork, the stainless mirror of his light, the perfect exemplar of his teachings, the unerring interpreter of his word, the embodiment of every Baha'i ideal, the incarnation of every Baha'i virtue, the most mighty branch sprung from the ancient root, the limb of the law of God, the being round whom all names revolve, the mainspring of the oneness of humanity, the ensign of the most great peace, the moon of the central orb of this most holy dispensation. Styles and titles that are implicit and find their truest, their highest, and fairest expression in the magic name, Abdu'l-Bahá. He is above and beyond these appellations, the mystery of God, an expression by which Baha'u'llah himself has chosen to designate him, and which, while it does not by any means justify us to assign to him the station of prophethood, indicates how, in the person of Abdu'l-Bahá, the incompatible characteristics of a human nature and superhuman knowledge and perfection have been blended and are completely harmonized. At the close of his strenuous Western tours, which had called forth the last ounce of his ebbing strength, he had written, "Franz, the time is coming when I shall be no longer with you. I have done all that could be done. I have served the cause of Baha'u'llah to the utmost of my ability. I have labored night and day all the years of my life. Oh, how I long to see the believers shouldering the responsibilities of the cause. My days are numbered, and save this, there remains none other joy for me." Several years before, he had thus alluded to his passing, "O ye my faithful loved ones, should at any time afflicting events come to pass in the Holy Land, never feel disturbed or agitated. Fear not, neither grieve. For whatsoever thing happeneth will cause the word of God to be exalted, and his divine fragrance to be diffused. And remember, whether or not I be on earth, My presence will be with you always. Regard not the person of Abdu'l-Bahá, he thus counseled his friends in one of his last tablets, for he will eventually take his leave of you all. Nay, fix your gaze upon the word of God. The loved ones of God must arise with such steadfastness that should in one moment hundreds of souls, even as Abdu'l-Bahá himself, be made a target for the darts of woe, nothing whatsoever shall affect or lessen their service to the cause of God. Through the dreams he dreamed, through the conversations he held, through the tablets he revealed, it became increasingly evident that his end was fast approaching. 2 months before his passing, he told his family of a dream he had had. I seemed, he said, to be standing within a great mosque in the inmost shrine facing the Qibla, in the place of the Imam himself. I became aware that a large number of people were flocking into the mosque, more and yet more crowded in, taking their places in rows behind me, until there was a vast multitude. As I stood, I raised loudly the call to prayer. Suddenly the thought came to me to go forth from the mosque. When I found myself outside, I said within myself, for what reason came I forth, not having led the prayer? But it matters not. Now that I have uttered the call to prayer, the vast multitude will of themselves chant the prayer. A few weeks later, whilst occupying a solitary room in the garden of his house, he recounted another dream to those around him. I dreamed a dream, he said, and behold, the blessed beauty, Baha'u'llah, came and said to me, destroy this room. None of those present comprehended the significance of this dream until he himself had soon after passed away, when it became clear to them all that by the room was meant the temple of his body. In the morning of Saturday, November 26th, Abdu'l-Bahá rises early and has tea in the tea room. The master's illness, which started with a cold over a week ago on November 18th, has progressively developed into a fever, and Abdu'l-Bahá starts feeling very cold. But when he wakes up on Sunday, November 27th, the fever is gone and he seems much better. He says, I'm quite well and will get up as usual and have tea with you in the tea room. Following the day of the covenant celebration, Abdu'l-Bahā's 4 son-in-laws and Ruhi Effendi visit Abdu'l-Bahá, telling him, the giver of the feast was unhappy because you were not there. Abdu'l-Bahā's response is fraught with meaning. But I was there. Though my body was absent, my spirit was there in your midst. I was present with the friends at the tomb. The friends must not attach any importance to the absence of my body. In spirit I am and shall always be with the friends, even though I be far away. The news of his passing, so sudden, so unexpected, spread like wildfire throughout the town and was flashed instantly over the wires to distant parts of the globe, stunning with grief the community of the followers of Baha'u'llah in East and West. Messages from far and near, from high and low alike, through cablegrams and letters poured in, conveying to the members of a sorrow-stricken and disconsolate family expressions of praise, of devotion, of anguish, and of sympathy. Many and diverse newspapers such as the London Times, Morning Post, and Daily Mail, New York World, and others in different languages and countries paid their tribute to one who had rendered the cause of human brotherhood and peace such signal and imperishable services. Abdu'l-Bahá's great work was now ended. The historic mission with which his father had 29 years previously invested him had been gloriously consummated. A memorable chapter in the history of the first Baha'i century had been written. The heroic age of the Baha'i dispensation, in which he had participated since its inception and played so unique a role, had drawn to a close. He had suffered as no disciple of the faith who had drained the cup of martyrdom had suffered. He had labored as none of its greatest heroes had labored. He had witnessed triumphs such as neither the herald of the faith nor its author had ever witnessed. As to the funeral itself, which took place on Tuesday morning, a funeral the like of which Palestine had never seen, no less than 10,000 people participated, representing every class, religion, and race in the country. A great throng bore witness at a later date. The High Commissioner himself had gathered together, sorrowing for his death, but rejoicing also for his life. Sir Ronald Storrs, governor of Jerusalem at the time, also wrote in describing the funeral, "I have never known a more united expression of regret and respect than was called forth by the utter simplicity of the ceremony." As they slowly wended their way up Mount Carmel, the vineyard of God, the casket appeared in the distance to be borne aloft by invisible hands. So high above the heads of the people was it carried. After 2 hours walking, they reached the garden of the tomb of the Bab. Tenderly was the sacred coffin placed upon a plain table covered with a fair white linen cloth. As the vast concourse pressed around the tabernacle of his body, waiting to be laid in its resting place within the vault next to that of the Bab, representatives of the various denominations, Muslims, Christians, and Jews, all hearts being ablaze with fervent love of Abdu'l-Bahá. Some, on the impulse of the moment, others prepared, raised their voices in eulogy and regret, paying their last homage of farewell to their loved one. So united were they in their acclamation of him as the wise educator and reconciler of the human race in this perplexed and sorrowful age, that there seemed to be nothing left for the Baha'is to say.
My name is Abdu'l-Bahá. My qualification is Abdu'l-Bahá. My reality is Abdu'l-Bahá. My praise is Abdu'l-Bahá. Thraldom to the blessed perfection is my glorious and refulgent diadem, and servitude to all the human race is my perpetual religion. My name is Abdu'l-Bahá. My qualification is Abdu'l-Bahá. My reality is Abdu'l-Bahá. My praise is Abdu'l-Bahá. No name, no title, no mention, no commendation never, no will I ever have except Abdu'l-Bahá. My name is Abdu'l-Bahá. My qualification is Abdu'l-Bahá. My reality is Abdu'l-Bahá. My